Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has called for a global minimum tax rate. The goal, getting other countries on board in order to prevent offshoring. This is a tax rate for corporations. Let's listen.
Competitiveness is about more than how U.S. headquartered companies fare against other companies in global merger and acquisition bids. It's about making sure that governments have stable tax systems that raise sufficient revenue to invest in essential public goods and respond to crises.
So this is President Biden's administration looks to raise corporate taxes back to roughly what they were before President Trump lowered them, saying the move won't harm the economy. Joining us now to discuss this is American Enterprise Institute's James Pethokoukis and PIMCO's head of public policy, Libby Cantrell. Libby, I thought that the corporate tax rate was 35% before the lowering in the Trump tax reform of 2017-18, not the number to which President Biden wants to take it back. He wants to go back to 28%. Am I right remembering that?
Yeah, that's right. Now, that's the statutory rate, the legal rate. I think effectively many corporations were paying a lower rate than that. But yes, Tyler, that's exactly right. That was the rate on the books, and President Biden is now advocating to take that rate from the statutory 21% to 28%.
So splitting the difference basically between what it was and what it is today. And as you point out, very few companies pay that top marginal rate at all. Many don't. So let me ask you, Jimmy, what incentive would there be for a country like Ireland or a tax haven like the Bahamas or Bermuda or any of a lot of other places? What incentive would there be for them to agree to a uniform corporate minimum tax when they have it pretty good if their tax rates are lower than ours and attract American businesses?
Very little reason. They'd be giving up a potential competitive advantage. You have these small, open economies that have really relied on a very competitive tax rate to attract business. I think this is going to be an extremely difficult thing for the Biden administration to do. And I don't really quite get it. I mean, I sort of understand why they want to do it. They want to kind of pay for some of this stuff. They don't want to be forced to have a super low tax rate. They want to pay for all this spending. But if Secretary Yellen really wants us to have a very stable tax code for the long term, then they really need to be talking about other kinds of taxes, whether that's a value-added tax, consumption tax, a carbon tax, which would take nicely in some of their environmental goals. If that's the goal, then we need to be talking about something other than just raising corporate income taxes.
Right as we're getting out of the pandemic, Libby, companies are regaining their footing. Is this the right time to be raising taxes? And is there a right time?
Well, look, and I think that you're going to hear, obviously, you've heard that skepticism, that pushback from Republicans on Capitol Hill, and you're hearing it from centrist Democrats. And that's why, we're skeptical that President Biden will see an increase to 28%. If there is an increase, likely something more to 24 or 25% for that very reason, that there is concern just generally about raising taxes, right after, beleaguered growth. With that said, though, politically, this is very resonant among certain pockets of the Democratic Party. So you will also hear, the progressive folks on the Democratic side calling for an even higher tax rate. But I think practically speaking, when all is said and done, and I think just to be very clear, we're in very early days of these negotiations. I mean, we're kind of in the first or second inning, to use a baseball analogy, in terms of these negotiations. So I think it's really too early. We have to sort of reserve judgment about where we'll ultimately land. But practically speaking, I'm very skeptical that you get to that 28% corporate tax rate for those very reasons.
Jim, I can hear you wanting to get in. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I'll agree with much what Libby said, but I will say that the way the world works by next August or September, it may look very different. We're about to have some really very big GDP quarters. So by the time we get to the fall, which is when this stuff may end up happening, assuming it happens, the economy is going to look a lot stronger. And there certainly might be Democrats saying, listen, the economy looks weak. Now it looks like it's booming. We can certainly afford to raise corporate taxes.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.